Top accolade African news updates. I am Soibifa Jaggerj. A Nigerian pastor has been arrested over allegations he fraudulently got people to be part with their money. Theo O Ebonyi, well known in Benue State, is accused of swindling his followers and others out of more than 1.3 billion naira, that is $930,000 or 740,000 euros. He was detained and freed on bail last year, but this has only just been made public. The Anti-Corruption Authority spokesperson is quoted as saying, Mr. Ebonyi said news was fake information spread by bloggers. He did not comment on the allegations against him. Nigeria's Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) alleged Mr. Ebonyi asked his victims to pay a $1,300 fee each to access a $20 billion grant from the US-based Ford Foundation. It, however, says the foundation did not offer such a grant. The EFCC also alleges that Mr. Ebonyi, who runs Faith on the Rock Ministry International Church, used the fraudulently acquired funds to buy 5 properties. He is set to be charged in court. After the investigations are finalized, the EFCC says it is still unclear exactly what charges he will face. In a video statement, Mr. Ebonyi posted on Facebook around the same time as the EFCC announced his arrest on X. He said the news of his detention had been made up by bloggers trying to use my body to make money. That is a very big fake news. It's not true. But EFCC spokesperson Theo O Ebonyi told Punch newspaper that Mr. Ebonyi was on bail, having been arrested and then released last year. Senegal's reputation as a bastion of democracy in an unstable region is on the line as protesters clash with police outside the National Assembly. Inside lawmakers have passed a contentious bill to extend President Macky Sall's tenure and delay elections after he called off a planned election with just 3 weeks to go. Khalifa Sall, a leading opponent and a former mayor of Dakar who is not related to the president, called the delay a constitutional coup and urged people to protest against it. His political coalition has vowed to go to court. Theo O Sall, another candidate, also no relation, called it high treason and urged his supporters to gather in front of the National Assembly to protest and remind MPs to stand on the right side of history. The proposal needed the support of 3/5 of the 165 deputies to pass. The ruling Benue Yaka coalition, of which President Sall's Alliance for the Republic Party is part, has a slight majority in parliament. There was a heated atmosphere in the chamber, and it was reported that some opposition MPs had been removed by security forces after they tried to block proceedings. In the end, 105 MPs voted for the proposal. A 6-month postponement was originally proposed, but a last-minute amendment extended it to 10 months or 15th December. Mr. Sall reiterated that he was not planning to run for office again, but his critics accused him for either trying to cling on to power or unfairly influencing whoever succeeds him. No sooner had he announced the unprecedented postponement than protesters marched across the capital, Dakar, to call for a reversal. Senegal has long been seen as one of the most stable democracies in West Africa. It is the only country in mainland West Africa that has never had a military coup. It has had 3 largely peaceful handovers of power and never delayed the presidential election. The Prime Minister said he was taken by surprise when he agreed to make a €1,000 bet over his Rwanda policy. Rishi Sunak said he was not a betting person, but denied it was a mistake after shaking hands with Talk TV's Piers Morgan that deportation flights would take off before the next election. Labour said it showed he was totally out of touch with working people. Mr. Sunak dismissed suggestions that he did not understand financial pressures facing ordinary households. The bet, which will go charity, exceeds the €900 cost of living payments paid to eligible households on means-tested benefits. The Prime Minister said he sets the target to halve inflation by the end of last year because of the cost of living pressures, and inflation had come down from 11% to 4%, which eases the burden on families, he said. Pushed on whether he understood the pressure on low-income families, Mr. Sunak says he was sad to hear about parents being so low on money Fulani, they have been watering down baby formula for their infants. He argued his government's cuts to national insurance had helped working families alongside providing 100 billion euros in support for the most vulnerable in society. The pledge on inflation was of the PM's 5 promises alongside the policy of sending some asylum seekers to Rwanda. It aids to deter people from crossing the channel and is key part of Mr. Sunak's pledge to stop the boats. However, the plan has been stalled by legal challenges with no deportation flights taken off yet. The bet was underlining my absolute commitment to this policy and my desire to get it through Parliament and up and running, Mr. Sunak said. In an attempt to revive the policy, the government introduced legislation declaring Rwanda a safe country, but the bill needs to be approved by the House of Lords, where it has faced significant opposition before it becomes law. The government has said it's still aiming for flights to take off by the spring. A man has been sentenced for smuggling live chameleons and venomous snakes into the UK. The shipment of more than 100 pygmy chameleons from Cameroon in Africa was intercepted hidden inside a box of snakes at Heathrow Airport in 2020. Humberside police said following the seizure, officers executed a search warrant at the home of Mac Britain, which uncovered further evidence. Britain pleaded guilty to 2 counts of importing articles that are subject to restrictions without declaring them. The 48-year-old of Stingerbox Street, Hall was given a 4-month suspended prison sentence at Hull Crown Court. He was also ordered to carry out 100 hours of unpaid community work. PC Reed Quasi from the Forces Rural Task Force said the investigation involved authorities in the UK and Africa. This was an extremely lengthy and complicated investigation which involved working closely with partners at the National Wildlife Crime Unit and Border Force, he said. I would like to thank all involved in bringing this case to court. That is the size of top accolade African news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Tuesday.